I'm excited to be here. I find myself somewhat conflicted by the need to speak slowly for the translators and the clock. In safety, it seems to me, amongst your citizens, I understand right now there is a big passion for football, right? I think our challenge as leaders in organizations is to create a similar passion for safety. That's what I want to talk about today, are some techniques that we have been employing within industry to create a higher level of interest and involvement on the part of employees and hopefully create a culture that helps us create and support safety champions and employees who champion safety in the workplace. These are the questions I'm going to try to answer today. I'll try to get through them expeditiously. The first question is, why are companies interested in behavior-based or behavioral safety? And let's see here, I have a slight problem with my presentation. Let's see if it goes. Many organizations, as we have analyzed the injuries that have taken place within those organizations, have found results much like this. DuPont, back in the early 80s, reported the results of a study that they did throughout their organization worldwide that showed that a majority of their lost workday case injuries or lost work time injuries were caused by the action of the employee or one of his coworkers. These data are from a refinery where we did some work, and one of the things that we do in working with our clients is analyze the behaviors that could have prevented the injuries. The primary purpose for doing that is to create a prevention checklist, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. But a secondary purpose is to explain to employees why they are taking on this kind of initiative. And often we create a diagram much like this that we use in training employees and explaining to them why their organization is taking this kind of initiative. And what this diagram shows is that behavior plays a role in 96% of the injuries. In some 76% of the injuries for this particular facility, pretty much the cause, the final link in the chain, we talk about a chain of events leading up to an injury. The final link in that chain is behavior. In the case of the blue portion of this pie chart, perhaps a welder has a burr on the weld and he needs to grind it off. He does not have a face shield handy. He has safety glasses on. He goes to grind the weld and gets a speck of metal around his glasses and into his eye. And we would call that primarily a behavioral event. Where another 20%, there's some combination of behaviors and conditions. Perhaps a pump seal fails and spills oil out on a walkway. The employee is walking down the walkway talking with one of his coworkers, not watching where he steps and twists an ankle, and some combination of behaviors and conditions. But the point of this diagram is that our friends in engineering have done a great job of engineering safety into the workplace. The conditions is the smaller piece of the pie. The larger opportunity for us is to address the behavioral issues that contribute, in this case, to 96% of the injuries. And in 11 or 12 years we've been doing this kind of analysis routinely. I think there are maybe 4 or 5 exceptions, but routinely behaviors have contributed to between 86 and 96% of the injuries in a majority of the organizations that we've worked with. There are a variety of factors that play into that. Amongst those, just in our day-to-day interactions, we talk so much about production. We know hour to hour how many barrels of oil we've produced, how much product we've delivered. We know that day by day, hour by hour. And just in talking to one another and talking with our employees, those are oftentimes the things that get stressed. And we don't, our systems, the things that we measure in terms of the quality, the cost, the production, tends to pull our focus out of balance. And our measurements around safety too often are simply whether or not we have had an injury. In the DuPont organization, years ago, they began to promote the concept of having safety first in every management meeting. It was a great concept. The problem with its implementation in many companies is the question that gets asked is, did we have an injury? And if the answer is no, then we go on and talk about production and cost and quality, and there is no discussion of the things that have been done to promote safety in the workplace. And so what do we do to offset that? What do we do to keep our systems in balance? What do we do to maintain the focus day